You're lying in bed on Sunday morning, finally having a moment to breathe, and instead of feeling peaceful, you feel guilty. Guilty for not doing laundry, guilty for not meal prepping, guilty for not being productive. Here's what no one told you. That guilt isn't your moral compass failing. It's a system designed to keep you working for everyone except yourself. You thought childhood would teach you that you were valuable just for existing, that your parents would love you unconditionally, that rest would be natural, that play would be encouraged without needing to justify it with productivity. Here's what really happened. You learned that love came with conditions. Good girls don't rest while there's work to be done. Good girls help mommy. Good girls don't ask for things when mommy is tired. You learned that your worth was tied to how useful you were, how little trouble you caused, how much you could anticipate and meet other people's needs before your own. The truth no one talks about. You were trained from birth to feel guilty for having needs. Every time you wanted something, attention, rest, play, and were told to wait, to help first, to think of others, you internalized the message that your desires were selfish. That guilt you feel when you rest? It's not natural. It's programmed. You deserve to know that children are supposed to be cared for without earning it. You deserve to learn that rest is a human right, not a reward for productivity. But instead, you learned that your value came from what you could do for others, and that lesson is still running your life today. You thought school would be about learning and growing, that you'd be encouraged to explore, to fail, to discover what you loved. You imagined that doing well would feel satisfying, that achievement would bring joy. Here's what really happened. School taught you that your worth was measured in grades, in being the good student, in never causing problems for teachers who were already overwhelmed. You learned to sacrifice sleep for homework, to feel guilty for taking breaks, to measure your value against other students' achievements. Rest became something you had to earn through perfect performance. You learned that being tired was weakness, that struggling meant you weren't trying hard enough, that asking for help was admitting failure. You internalized the message that productivity equals worth, and that message became so deep you can't separate who you are from what you accomplish. The truth no one talks about. The education system was designed to create compliant workers, not healthy humans. It taught you to ignore your body's signals, to push through exhaustion, to feel guilty for having limits. The guilt you feel about resting isn't moral, it's institutional conditioning. You deserve to know that learning happens best when you're rested, that creativity requires downtime, that your brain needs space to process and integrate information. But instead, you learn that rest is laziness, and that belief is destroying your mental health. You thought your career would give you purpose and financial independence, that working hard would lead to recognition, that dedication would be rewarded, that success would finally give you permission to rest. Here's what really happened. You entered a workforce that demands everything and gives back the minimum. You learned that work-life balance is a myth sold to keep you hoping, while you sacrifice your health, relationships, and sanity for companies that would replace you in a week. You discovered that no amount of achievement is ever enough. There's always another goal, another promotion, another way you should be improving yourself. You're working harder than your mother's generation ever did, for less security, less benefits, and less hope of retirement. You're told to be grateful for jobs that demand you be available 24/7, to feel guilty for using your vacation days, to apologize for being sick. The truth no one talks about. Hustle culture is a scam designed to extract maximum value from your life while convincing you that exhaustion is achievement. The guilt you feel about resting isn't about work ethic. It's about a system that profits from your burnout. You deserve to know that productivity culture is designed to make you feel like you're never doing enough, so you'll keep giving more of yourself for less in return. The guilt about rest isn't coming from inside you. It's being manufactured by systems that need you exhausted to function. You thought relationships would be partnerships where care was mutual, that you'd find someone who would support your need for rest, who would share the mental load, who would encourage you to take care of yourself. Here's what really happened. You became the emotional manager of every relationship in your life. You remember birthdays, plan gatherings, check in on friends, manage your partner's feelings, anticipate everyone's needs. You learned that love means being constantly available, that good partners don't have boundaries, that caring for yourself is selfish when others need you. You're carrying the emotional labor for your family, your friends, your workplace, and your community. You feel guilty for saying no, guilty for not texting back immediately, guilty for needing space. You've become so good at anticipating other people's needs that you've forgotten you have any of your own. The truth no one talks about. Emotional labor is work, and you're doing it for free while being told it's love. The guilt you feel about resting isn't about caring too much. It's about a society that expects women to be endlessly available while never acknowledging the cost. You deserve to know that healthy relationships include space for your needs, that boundaries are love in action, that taking care of yourself makes you better able to care for others. But instead, you learned that your needs come last, and that programming is killing your spirit. You thought motherhood would be challenging but rewarding, that society would support you, that you'd have help, that taking care of yourself would be encouraged because healthy mothers raise healthy children. Here's what really happened. You discovered that motherhood in this culture means disappearing yourself completely. You learned that good mothers sacrifice everything: sleep, career, friendships, hobbies, identity, for their children. You feel guilty for wanting time alone, guilty for missing your old life, guilty for being tired, guilty for not enjoying every moment. You're expected to be endlessly patient, constantly available, and perpetually grateful for the privilege of motherhood while receiving no institutional support, no paid leave, no affordable child care, no recognition that raising humans is the hardest job in the world. The truth no one talks about. Motherhood guilt is a tool of control designed to keep women isolated, exhausted, and compliant. The guilt you feel about resting isn't about being a bad mother. It's about a society that expects women to sacrifice themselves completely while providing no support for the most important job in the world. You deserve to know that good mothers take care of themselves, that children benefit from seeing their mothers as whole humans with needs and boundaries, that rest makes you a better parent, not a selfish one. Here's what changes everything. Your guilt about resting isn't a personal failing. It's the intended outcome of systems designed to extract maximum value from your life. Every institution you've encountered has trained you to feel guilty for having needs because your guilt keeps you working for everyone except yourself. The guilt serves the system, not you. It keeps you productive at work, available in relationships, selfless in motherhood, and constantly striving for an impossible standard of perfection. Your guilt is not your moral compass. It's a tool of control that's been so deeply embedded you think it's your own voice.